I am sorry about that. Bad timing. All right, we are going to call this meeting to order at 7:05. I'm going to pass the floor over to Josh to read our land acknowledgement.
I would like to begin by acknowledging that we gather today on the ancestral homelands of the Coast Salish peoples, who have lived in the Salish Sea Basin throughout the San Juan Islands and the North Cascades watershed from time immemorial. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude for our Indigenous neighbors and the Lummi Nation and Nooksack Tribe for their enduring care and protection of our shared lands and waterways. Bellingham, Lummi Nation, and Nooksack Tribe.
Thank you, Josh. So I'm going to read another statement that the board has prepared. So, in response to recent racially motivated harassment of a Sudden Valley Community Association board member, as a board of directors, we are compelled to make the following statement. The Sudden Valley Community Association stands against racism and in solidarity with Black, Indigenous, and people of color. We acknowledge that the history of systemic oppression, white supremacy, and racism has widespread effects in our society to this day. In light of such systemic racism and standing in explicit opposition to these realities, we strive to create an inclusive community where the dignity of all members is equally defended. We believe that the vast majority of Sudden Valley Community Association members share these values, and we will continue to advocate for the voice of every member to be heard and respected. Despite widespread consensus, we have come to realize that this is not enough to assume that all members share these values. This conviction must be affirmed publicly. Therefore, we reject the expressions of racism that seek to divide this community. We contend that until we can say with confidence and without repudiation that Black Lives Matter in our society, there is much work to be done with respect to ensuring equal treatment for the Black, Indigenous, and people of color in our community. Whenever possible and necessary, we will actively engage in difficult, transparent conversations and commit to dismantling racial biases by understanding and seeking to change barriers that have been created. We will also continually ensure that all voices are heard in an inclusive, respectful, responsible, cooperative, and equitable environment. In this regard, expressions of policy and priority differences are welcome, but we do not consider racism to be a political opinion and will not tolerate it. We are committed to supporting community members and staff through an equity and anti-racist lens and advocating for any change that cultivates a more just environment.
Yay, thank you for reading that, AJ.
Yeah, thank you, AJ.
Thanks, AJ.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So on that note, we can move on to our next agenda item, doing roll call. We have all board members present and Rachel, Brian, and John from staff. So moving into the agenda, I'm going to make one amendment. I make a motion to amend the agenda to include under new business and approval of committee members, adding number 3 for document review committee and number 4 for the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee.
Second.
Any objections to that? All right, we can approve by unanimous consent then.
Hey, AJ, I just want to say something really quickly. I just to piggyback on the anti-racism statement, I just wanted to mention that I believe Cam Harris, who was elected with me, Justin, and Joel, is the first Black board member to sit on this board, the first Black female board member to sit on this board. And so I just wanted to express my appreciation for that. And we are working toward a community and an HOA that is committed to inclusion. And I think that's absolutely fabulous. And I'm happy to be part of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Brian.
Awesome.
That was good add.
I have an additional amendment to the agenda, Mr. President.
Sure.
Can we pull those minutes back and tell Linda that is my amendment, is that I would like to hold off on approving the minutes so that Linda Oryx and I can get together. I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I'm pretty new at all this.
Yeah, I am fine with that. We can bring them to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to go back over where, you know, Linda and I kind of had a transition, and we just want to make sure that everything is just perfect. So, I
Okay.
appreciate
All right, that sounds good. A motion then to amend the agenda a second time to remove the consent agenda. Any objections? All right, passed with unanimous consent. So motion to approve or to adopt the agenda as approved or as amended, sorry.
anyone. Second.
Second, anyone, any objections? Approved by unanimous consent. All right, we don't have the consent agenda now, so we'll move into announcements. I think Brian has an announcement to begin with us, and then I'll pass it on to anyone else.
You're
You're
muted,
on mute,
Brian.
Brian.
You're muted, Brian.
Thank you. Big Zoom faux pas already. On Tuesday evening, Bruce Bishop submitted his resignation to me. Bruce has had 2 separate stints with Sudden Valley as maintenance manager over the past 13 years. Bruce has been a very valuable employee and a great asset to the community association. Bruce has worked diligently on behalf of Sudden Valley, and as many community members can attest, was always quick with a smile and to help out whenever he could, as much as he could. Bruce will be greatly missed by all of us, and we wish him nothing but the best in his future endeavors.
All right, thank you, Brian. Do we have any other announcements?
AJ,
Yes, Linda.
I think it went up on the website today that after the storm the other night, there's going to be a no-cost clean green happening this weekend for as many times and as many trips as residents need to bring their stuff. I'm not sure of the time, but I know it's going to be open this weekend.
Thank you, Linda.
Jennifer.
I should have mentioned that too. Thank you. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And as Linda mentioned, there was an email I think that went out later this afternoon to everybody, and it will be on the website and on the Facebook page. But it was basically in response to the windstorm. Bruce was able to coordinate having a staff member there for a clean green, an impromptu clean green from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday, and it's for debris from the windstorm. And yes, as Linda mentioned, you can come through as many times as need be.
And where's the location of that again?
At area Z, Kim. Yeah.
Yeah, we should try to propagate that announcement down to the various social media groups as well, so we can let as many people know as possible. I'm sure people got lots of branches. I know I got a lot.
We'll push it out on all the avenues.
Okay. Do we have any other announcements?
Not necessarily an announcement, just to piggyback on that might be a good time to just for anybody watching to encourage people to like the Sudden Valley website as well, or not website, but the Sudden Valley Association Facebook page. If you are on Facebook and you are on some of those other websites, that following on the official Sudden Valley Facebook page is a great way to get that information first, because I think they generally push it out there and then distribute it out. So.
Yep, I agree, Paul. Good tip. We also have our e-blast too that you can sign up for on our website, which would include information too. So good idea to remind everybody about that repeatedly. Any other announcements? All right, we can move into our first round of property owner comments before we get into new business. So if John.
Yes, sir.
See if anyone
Yeah, absolutely.
wants to pop over.
Yep. Any of our attendees that are here with us tonight, just use the raise hand feature in Zoom, and I'll bring you over for any property owners' comments if you have something that you'd like to add to the meeting. And I do have a hand raised. Leslie, I'll go ahead and bring you on over here. And there you go, Leslie.
Yes, I'm unmuted now. Good
You are
evening, everybody. I did have a question and a clarification, actually. The question is that you have a committee searching for a new GM. And I was wondering if you had included the ability for members to do some of the interviewing, or members to talk to some of the candidates before they are selected.
Yeah, so we haven't completely finalized our process yet, but our resolution, I believe, outlined, you know, our intention would be to bring our candidates back before the board for interviews, and you know, we would also have some type of meet and greet with our staff as well, obviously with the potential candidates, and likely we would, you know, potentially try to set up some sort of event that we could have with community participation as well. We haven't fully determined how that would look or what that process.
Oh, I understand that it's too soon for that, but it's just something that I did not see in the resolution, so I just figured I would ask about it. And the clarification is, and I don't mean to be disrespectful at all, Kim, but we did have a Black board member before. His name was Odell DeVoe.
I'm sorry, Leslie, I just want to make sure you're clear. I don't usually interrupt, but Brian did correct himself and say female Black.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So it's
I
kind of
didn't
like
get
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you were aware, because I too zeroed in on that. And I mean, it's just a great show for diversity because, as you know, the females, we have a huge gap in society. So we're really, yeah. So we just really wanted to tout that. It was a big, you know, it's a big deal. Thanks, Leslie. Thank you. We wouldn't want to be politically incorrect. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Leslie. I'll go ahead and return you now to the attendees. And anybody else, you're welcome to add your property owner's comments. Just raise your hand virtually in Zoom. Down towards the bottom of the program, there should be an option to raise your hand. I believe the same option should be in the app. I don't see anybody joining us by phone tonight. Not seeing any hands at this time.
All right, well, they will have another chance to comment later on if they so choose. So we will move forward. Thank you, John. Moving into new business. So we have the approval of a few of our ad hoc committee charters that we are moving forward with here today. So up first, we have our communications committee charter. And I'll turn it over to Josh here for that. He is the chair, and yeah.
Thanks, AJ. I'm not sure if you guys want me to read this whole charter, but
you just need to make a motion to approve it as presented in the board packet.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'll just briefly go over some of our goals for this year. The communications committee is going to attempt to redesign and rebuild the suddenvalley.com website with the help of staff, and we're going to source some other options for that as well. But it's something we've been talking about for a long time, and I know a lot of community members are wanting something a little fresh with easy access to information. So that's one of our goals. And another goal is to create a new member welcome packet that we can distribute throughout the community for new residents that come in. I'm sure a lot of you have, well, it could just be being a goof, but it was hard to find the mailboxes when I, arrived here. Like, where do I get my mail and stuff? So just simple things like that will be in this packet, as well as the trails and other things that you can do throughout the neighborhood. So that's another one of our goals for this year. That said, I motion for the board to approve the Communications Committee Charter for 2021.
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion on it? I think those are both great goals for the year. On top of the other kind of standing things that you guys take care of as well. So, and just so the board is aware, we can always add, tasks to committees and stuff like that as things arise. We can make motions to refer things to committees, or we could edit the charter, as needed as well. So no further discussion. So I'll call the question. All those.
One second, AJ. Mr. Brian, I know we've spoke a long time ago before COVID hit about golf and things like that. So that's something that we're going to be reaching out to you about again. So I haven't forgotten. But yeah, so just keep it on your radar. But anyways, go ahead, AJ. Sorry about that.
No worries. So the motion on the table to be voted on is to approve the communications charter, or the resolution to approve the communications committee. All those in favor? Any opposed? Looks like it passes unanimously. All right, so then we will move on to the Emergency Preparedness Committee. I'll pass that over to Paula.
Thank you. I'll make the resolution or the motion first, and then just say a little bit about the goals that the EPC has this year. So I move to accept and approve the charter as handed out in an electronic handout to the board that will be presented as an addendum to this agenda. There are changes to it. So I move that we approve the amended version in the handout this evening for EPC.
Second.
So the change that was made to the version that's in the agenda really has two different changes that were made. One, it increased the maximum number of members that were allowed. We currently have 11 people that have been vetted and approved for the committee. This is a extremely passionate, dedicated group that I'm super excited to be working with this year. The goals that are laid out in this are largely similar to what they have been doing. They center around communication, working with other community members. A lot of people may have seen the updates going out into the views with monthly updates from the EPC on how to stay safe in different weather conditions. So they're committing to, we are committing to continuing that this year, extending communications, working with Parks Recs, the Parks Committee to maintain trails for evacuation routes, wildfire mitigation plans. So those are items that they've been working on and are going to continue working on and are excited to work with the board on. So I'd ask you to support that charter.
All right, do we have any further discussion on that charter?
I just have a question, please. Paula, how many members? You said there's currently 11. Is that what you've changed it to, or what's your new total?
We've changed it to 15. Last year they had as many as 20. And so I believe that there are still some members that wanted to commit to it. So I asked the board to approve it at 15.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't have time to read it.
That's fine.
Yeah, and we can we can amend that if we feel the need to or whatever. That'd be a simple motion. Wouldn't require much effort to be able to extend that if need be. All right, any other discussion? Otherwise, we'll call the question. The motion on the table was to approve the emergency preparedness charter as submitted in the electronic handout. All those in favor? Any opposed? I think it passes unanimously. All right. So move on to the Parks and Trails and Recreation Committee charter. I'll pass it over to Andrew. I do have one question for you, Andrew. I meant to ask you and I forgot. It still says 9, and I know the Parks and Trails Committee is a popular committee, and so maybe in our motion, can you tell us how many people that you maybe have right now, and maybe we need to adjust that, edit that in our motion?
Sure, thanks, AJ. Yes, I was going to bring that up. So you're absolutely right. Right now I have 4, but the last year I believe we had 13. So if we can increase the number to maybe to be consistent with the other committee, like 15 for now, I think that would be fine if we can amend this. That would be okay. And then the only other thing that I was going to ask you about also was the staff member. So let me back up. I haven't never been part of the Parks Committee, and I've certainly never been the chair. So it's all new to me right now. And what I've learned just through quick conversations is that staff, at least one staff member, the rec manager, has always been very deeply involved with this committee. So it says in here, may add 1 staff member. I don't know, maybe we say shall or will have staff member. I don't know if we need to get that technical with it, but I do think it would be important for us to continue that committee to staff relationship. So
Yeah.
those are the two things. The number of people I think we could absolutely amend and increase to 15, and then maybe there's language in here that says as we can recommend prospective members on an ongoing basis too. But for now, I think maybe we start with the 15, and then changing the language there for including a staff member.
Yeah, and I think my preference, I have no issues with the 15. My preference would be to leave the staff language as may. It's just the board's decision to do that. And, we also want to consider, staff time, and the GM has to delegate all that staff time. And so, we're kind of in this transition period. There could be the potential that the GM, needs that staff member to do something else for a period of time or something. I would prefer to just kind of leave it open. I think there's no reason at this point to not include a staff member. I think we would. We always had Maddie. Maddie obviously left us for a new position elsewhere, and so I don't think the board would be opposed to including a staff member. I would just like to leave that language so that it's open to the boards to make that decision, at any time. That makes sense.
That makes sense to me. We can write that up, and I can send it over to you as an amended version. If everyone's clear on what that is, then we can vote on the amendments.
I thought that wait, doesn't it say already that it may have staff?
Yeah, we can just, the language allows us to basically just assign a staff member as the board to that.
Yeah, so
This is the way I read it.
Yeah, well, so my concern is that we would tie ourselves into having to have a staff member. And I mean, right now, we wouldn't be able to afford one at the moment. Maybe not, maybe not. I don't know. Those are just things to think about.
Time-wise, we don't really have a staff at this moment to fill that role. That's also part of it as well too. So by the language that we currently have, we can just make that decision really at any point. Like once we get a new recreation manager, then we're like, okay, this person is now participates in this committee. I believe it's actually even written into that manager's job description, so that they're aware of those responsibilities, when they come on board, that they may be required to do these things and stuff. I guess I'm just saying, I think we're covered in that aspect. I don't think you need to worry about not having a staff member once we get one, I guess.
Yeah, well, that stems from, because I didn't put this together. I think you did, and I don't know if anyone else was involved, so which is fine. But like where that's stemming from is like in the responsibilities under number 2, says this, develop, organize, and implement a Sun Valley Parks volunteer program. This program should be responsible for recruiting and organizing volunteers to perform tasks such as, minor park maintenance, including trail maintenance, vegetation control, garbage cleanup. Like, it'd be helpful to have staff on point there, because then it's like, if we don't have volunteers to do that, then am I supposed to go out there as the chair and make sure all this happens, kind of a thing, which is fine. It just might be a lousy job, but
Yeah,
so
no,
things
I mean,
like that.
You would not be expected to do that, Andrew. The goal of the committee is to kind of develop and manage that program, to bring, to recruit volunteers and kind of outline the work and, that type of thing, which is challenging in these COVID days. A little bit easier with trail maintenance, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just I just don't even have enough because I'm so new at this. Like I know, like the marina as an enterprise, if you will, is also part of rec, right? So just getting these bits and pieces of kind of how involved rec is and how collaborative it has been historically with staff is just where that's coming from. But it sounds like it's all in good spirit that we'll get to that point.
Yeah, I think we will.
You're gonna do great.
Yeah,
You're
go
on
good.
the committee, Steffi.
It takes a little.
You're the chair.
It's a team effort, Steffi. Don't push that all on me. It's the team effort.
I'll pick up trash.
I'll definitely pick up trash. Okay.
And it takes a minute to kind of, when I took up long range planning last year, it takes a minute to kind of get up to speed and get running with it. But I think you got quite a few committee members who usually participate yearly.
Mm-hmm.
And so there'll be some continuity there for you, I'm sure. And, we can keep pushing to get more volunteers as well and stuff. And yeah, we'll have a staff available to help. We just need to get back up to full staffing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay.
So I guess my recommendation would be to do a motion and just amend the 9 members to 15, like you said.
9 to 15.
Okay, so you need me to make that motion, or did you just make it?
Yeah, if you could, I'll let you do it.
Make a motion to approve the Parks, Trails, and Rec Committee resolution with the amendment to increase from 9 members to 15 members.
Second.
I was gonna second.
Any discussion? Brian?
I might have missed this, but I'm just wondering why so large? Why would you want a 15-person committee? I mean, is that like if you need somebody to help come pick up trash, we'll volunteer. I've been doing that stuff for years. Yeah, no, I mean, I would totally be happy to do it. I've done it before. We've done highway cleanups and things like that, and we could get college students involved and such, and it can be like a trail party. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I don't see why you need 15 people at the committee. Why is that?
Well, so I guess
Maybe
I would. Oh, sorry. Finish your thought.
Go ahead. No, that's it.
So I guess my question then would be, why limit it to 9? Because I guess I thought the original intention of the committee structure was to encourage more volunteerism. So I feel that by putting it at 9, which was, I just felt why. So that would be my question in response to your question, which is, not helpful to answering you right now, but why limit it to 9? And so I just feel like that kind of diminishes the integrity of the original committee structure and what we had set up the committees to do.
So aren't there also some subcommittees there, Andrew? There's I think 3 different subcommittees, so it does tend to get a little a little larger, that committee, I think.
Yes.
Total would include those, and those. Though this committee has historically been our most popular to join, from what I can tell. That and EPC have both kind of had our biggest participation rates. I do agree, Brian. I think we do want, there probably is a limit we want to have. It will potentially become counterproductive with too many cooks in the kitchen. But I don't know if 15's too over the top for, kind of a Parks and Trails committee.
Once the
Does everyone
subcommittees start
attend?
having subcommittees, then you're going to have the problem.
I think we should avoid that.
And then there's grand committees. Just when you start, oh, never mind. Go on. I was going to make a joke.
Carry on.
Paula?
My understanding is that your subcommittee members, though, have to be a member of the regular committee. So to staff those subcommittees, you have to have them on the committee to begin with. So I know with EPC, that's one of their issues with 15. You look at the scope of work of EPC and you look at this, and that's not taking away from the scope of work of anybody else. But there's a lot of smaller subcommittees that make up that work, and the same on the Parks, Trails, and Rec committee. There's so many of those smaller 3-4 people groups that are working on special projects. So I think I know when I looked at the scope of work, I was shocked, having just joined EPC late last year, at the scope of work of what they do, because we don't see a lot of it. At least we haven't in the past. We're going to do a great job at telling everybody everything we do now.
All right. Do we have any other discussions? So we'll call the question.
Thanks for answering my question, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Oh, sorry. What, Brian?
I don't know if I directly answered it.
I just thanked Andrew for his explanation.
Okay. Call the question then. The motion on the table was to approve the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee resolution with the change from not to exceed 9 members to not to exceed 15 members. All of those in favor? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. So I'm just going to make one statement with regards to the committees and stuff. One thing I would like the board to strive to with the committees is start providing some kind of every other month reporting back to the board. I think this will allow the community to check in on board meetings, but then also be able to see what's happening in the committee meetings without having to go, to watch additional meetings or look at additional minutes and things like that. So we'll be trying to implement that this year with kind of some regular reporting back to the board and committee at these meetings. All right, so moving on, we have approval of committee members now. So first on the schedule is the Finance Committee, so I'll turn it over to Kim.
Thank you, AJ. So the Finance Committee has been recruiting a number of applicants to participate for this year's 2021 Finance Committee. We got about 10 applications. It was fabulous. And so I would like to put forth 5 members that were selected from the applicants for approval by the board. Those members are Callie Cass, Gail Chiarello, Kara Eads, Alex Ellis, and Jean Makesner. So those are the 5 folks that I have selected. And I would like to...
I'll say I move.
I have to say I move to approve these folks for the 2021 Finance Committee. Is that the right language? I have to learn Robert's Rules of Order. It is not my thing, but I'm going to work on it. So I move to approve those 5 members to the 2021 Finance Committee.
I second.
All right. We'll do by unanimous consent. Any objections? No objections. So all of those members have been approved. Now we will move. Thank you, Kim. Now we'll move on to the Emergency Preparedness Committee, and I'll turn it over to Paula for member list.
I would like to move to approve the following members to the EPC committee: Ruth Evans, Libby Feller, Tom Fields, Mark Lester, Sunny Palmtag, Helena Reynolds, Steve Teske, Scott Walsh, Ted Wang, Claire Will, and Ken Will. And
A second.
Steffi, I emailed those to you so you don't have to try and frantically write them.
Oh, thank you. I was trying. I saw that you emailed, but I didn't get a chance to read all of it because I was at work and then driving home. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But thank you for telling me because I was.
Yeah. No, they're in your inbox.
Do we have a second? Kim seconds. Any objections? All right, those committee members are approved with unanimous consent. Now we'll move on to I believe I added document review as the third one. So I'll pass it over to Justin.
Yes, we have 2 applicants, which Joel Dobbins and I have both agreed upon to join us. I move to accept Nancy Alanek. I probably just butchered your name. Sorry, Nancy. And Sonia Volt.
All right, do we have a second? Joel is a second. Any objections? Passes with unanimous consent. All right, and we'll move on to the Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee member approvals. Pass it over back to Andrew.
Thanks. Quick question before I go through the 4 here. I do have a member of the community who's asked or who's informed me that they have a disability, but they would still like to apply to be on the committee. They can't, they can do things, but if they were to handwrite the application, it would not be legible. So maybe we can talk offline, AJ, but how can I get this? Can I fill it out for him, for this individual, and just say, signed on behalf of, me with this individual's approval, whatever you want to do, but just trying to find a move forward to accommodate this individual. So we don't have to talk about it now, but just.
I think we can definitely accommodate him.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would like to say that in nursing, when the patient can't be present and we need to talk to them and we talk to them about the phone, we just fill everything out, just like you're court reporter, you just fill it out for them and then just sign verbal okay, have them send an electronic okay. You could take a picture and send it to them and have them send an electronic okay. I mean, we're accommodating people with disabilities, and so I was just giving my 2 cents about what we do.
It might be good in the future. I mean, I'll bring this up with communications of possibility of having an online application submission form moving forward. So I'm glad you brought that up, Andrew.
Yeah, because finance is online.
They can submit online. The form could use some updating. It's not super intuitive because you have to go into I think you have to go into a drop down menu to select volunteering on committees, if I'm remembering correctly. But we can send you that. I'll email you that link, Andrew, from our website. And if that still doesn't work, we can definitely further accommodate them. I don't think that's an issue. We can make it happen.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Sorry to waylay the momentum here. So I move to approve Ruth Evans, Maria Henderson, Kathleen Loughlin, and Mixie Eddy.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Josh with the second. Any objections? All right, we'll approve with unanimous consent. And that ends that section of new business. So now we'll move on to selecting the board representative and an alternate for our union negotiating team. So as everyone here is aware, and I think a lot of our community is aware as well, the staff here formed a union block, and they voted on that and they passed that. And so the board and staff are going to be sitting down at the negotiation table here soon to start discussions on a collective bargaining agreement. And so this process here tonight is for the board to select a representative to sit on our negotiating team with our legal counsel, Richard, as well as Rachel, our admin manager. So I'd sent you guys an email kind of outlining the process we'll use for this. It's the same as we use for selecting the executive committee or the chairs of the committees. So initially I'll open the floor to nominations for the official board representative. And we'll do that. And then once we vote and elect that, we'll open the floor for nominations for the alternate and do that. So at this point in time, I will, I guess first, before I open nominations, are there any questions about anything or discussion at this point? Certain things associated with this may be, needed to be discussed in private. In a closed session, other things we'll be able to discuss in open session. So just so everyone's kind of aware of that. All right, I see no discussion, so I'll open the floor for nominations. I see Steffi's hand here.
I would like to nominate Justin Bauer
All right.
to be our board liaison representative.
Do we have any other nominations?
Or does somebody have to second? No, nobody has to
No,
second.
nominations
I
don't need to be
apologize.
seconded.
Justin has to accept it.
Where is he? Let me get a picture of him here. I gotta mean mug him so he can't. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do it.
Awesome.
And welcome any other nominations.
All right. Any other nominations?
We're doing 2, right?
We'll do the alternate next after we finish voting on this one.
Okay.
All right. Well, since there's no other nominations, then it's unanimous that Justin is our board representative for the union negotiating team. So at this point in time, I will open the floor for nominations for our alternate. Kim?
I would like to nominate Steffi. Miss Steffi Jones.
Do you accept, Steffi?
Oh yeah, I would be the alternate. Yes, I love all that stuff.
All right. Do we have any other nominations at this point? Hearing none, it is unanimous then that Steffi will be our alternate for when Justin's not available. All right, that wraps up, unless there's any other questions on that, that wraps up that agenda item. I do have one thing, largely this person will be kind of the liaison between the board and the union negotiating team. Richard's our lead negotiator. And so, the Justin and Steffi will be responsible for kind of updating the board on what happens at the negotiation table. And then, we may have to provide some direction to them as a board, as things progress. Sorry, as things progress.
AJ, did I understand Rich to say their first meeting was sometime on the 21st this month?
22nd at 10:30. And so, yeah, we'll have a short update for the board once that's done. And we'll have some more information. All right, moving on to our fines and fees schedule. I'll probably pass it over to Brian here for a sec, just to kind of talk about where we're at with this. And yeah.
So the fines and fees are, we're in a little bit of a flux in that we don't have anybody leading the rec department at the current time. So those fees were not really updated. We made the decision to go ahead and seek approval for the fines and fees that have been updated this for 2021, with the understanding that we may end up having to come back with respect to rec, especially, and seek updates. Rec and marina might need to be updated after we get somebody leading that department. But I know that certainly the golf rates were updated, so those are ready to be approved for 2021 and will not change. But we may well need to come back and ask for updates to other fines and fees.
And I think, golf's budget assumptions or whatever are based off of, these fees. So getting them updated is important, for that budget. And yeah, once we get someone on board for rec and we get that kind of moving along, we'll be able to deal with those.
Yeah.
So I think at this point in time, sorry, Linda, what?
I think we need to know, and at least I noticed it when I compared the two, under like rec and in there, especially under the marina more than anything else, they added Area Z dumpster fees, and I noticed that wasn't in the 2020 schedule. I don't know if it got dropped off that page and that it's always been there, but that was also an add. And I know we've had those rates in the past, but I didn't see it on the 2020 stuff, but it's on the new 2021 list. That's all.
Okay, I was not aware that those were new fees.
And they might not be. It may have just dropped off from the copy that she gave us, but it's a difference. That's all.
Okay. I can certainly look into that tomorrow and find out if those are, if we need any further discussion or information on those.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's kind of what they were in the past. The other thing you guys should know, and maybe you don't remember, but I think Lou in 2019, Lou, maybe I'm wrong, they raised the marina, all the marina rates, and also the Area Z rates.
Yeah, I do recall, Linda, that the marina rates were raised in 2000. I believe it was 2019. They were raised, and that's one of the things that I want to do with when we get the new rec manager on board, is to discuss marina rates. The feeling is that they might be on the low side, and the demand is very high. So we have probably a 3-year waiting list for wet slips. So there's certainly sufficient demand to raise those rates. So I wanted to certainly discuss that. I didn't want to just go ahead and throw new rates in there. I was hoping to discuss it with the new rec manager. But I think
yeah, and I think before that, it was like 5 years or more that we didn't even touch them. I think one time we raised them according to the size of your boat and everything else, and we saw this huge drop off in participation. People just said, can't do it. So it's, where do you find that tipping point? I hear you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what I'd rather see smaller, more incremental and consistent increases. So that's kind of one of the goals that we have, certainly with when we get the new manager on board. I'm hoping to I'm planning, even as I change my role back to just being golf director, to possibly work with the rec manager if they don't have experience on the business side, working with them to help set rates going forward.
All right, so I think we need to make a motion, or we should make a motion, and then we can further discuss. Make a motion to adopt the Sun Valley fines and fee scheduled for the current January 2021 as presented in the agenda packet.
Second.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right. Oh, Steffi, go ahead.
So these were already implemented and just never approved, I guess, I'm looking for clarification.
So I can say on the golf side that we do start the renewal process in the fall. So the new rates have been in effect for a while.
Okay, so these are already included in our budget.
Correct.
Okay.
I think the thing we need to be mindful of, and it's something that's always forgotten at budget time. This is for Kim, no. But it always gets forgotten, many times forgotten, that we always need to add the fee schedule there, because then it's taken care of. And if you guys feel that somebody needs to raise their rates, it can be done. And I think it's, like I say, it's something that's always overlooked on the planning calendar, but it definitely needs to be done way back then.
Thank you.
Linda and I discussed that we should probably get it somewhere more etched in stone when we approve these rates, possibly in November or December. Probably more likely November for planning purposes would be better. So it would be a good thing, Kim, if we could get that on a schedule so that you're aware and staff's aware.
And the budget process, to my understanding, it kicks off in like March, April. So I'll just.
Yeah, May, I think.
Yeah.
Early. Yeah, it certainly is challenging setting.
Time to start thinking about those fees for next year now, folks.
Well, it is, because in theory, we're not supposed to implement them until they're approved by the board.
Right.
That's kind of a yearly thing. So it's like Brian says, he's already started already. Brian, don't people get the old rate though if they renew earlier? No, they only get a discount.
Yeah, they get a small discount. They get 3% discount if they renew paying with cash or check before January 31st.
Okay.
Justin?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the time or the place, but is there been any discussion on the buyer's transfer fee, and in light of the new hire dues, if there's been any discussion or thoughts of eliminating that fee on basically profiting off our neighbors coming and going?
I would venture to guess that Brian's answer to that is no from staff's end. I think that's definitely a topic the board would take up, if we were going to make some changes in that capacity. I think it's something we could discuss in the future. We probably need to do a little bit of research up front just to kind of pull all of our information together and stuff like that on a topic like that.
Okay.
I know it is something the community has, good, bad, and indifferent opinions on, and has been talked about a number of times. So, similar to like the email we got about the views today, or things, it's kind of similar topic. A lot of people talk about it and have opinions on it, and so it could be good to have a discussion on it and further educate the community, on what it is, or even if we want to continue it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my assumption that would be board driven. We can certainly support from the staff point of view any research that you'd like to have done, but we'd probably need direction from the board on that one.
Yeah, because all that money does go into a capital account. And I think it's called Capital Reserve Holding Account, if I remember right.
Yep.
And yeah,
I think there's about, I want to say off the top of my head, I think there's around $750,000 in there right now.
I think so. That's what I vaguely remember as well, off the top of my head. Although it's filled with lots of stuff these days. So, any other discussion on the fines and fees? All right, so we'll call the question then. The motion on the table was to approve the Sudden Valley Community Association fines and fee schedule for the current January 2021 from the board agenda packet. All those in favor? Any opposed? Like it passes unanimously. All right. Thank you, Brian, for leading the conversation on that. So our next agenda item is move into closed session. Do I have a motion to do that?
Motion to move into closed session.
Got a second? All those in favor? All right. Brian and Rachel, I don't know that you guys gotta stick around if you don't want to. I think you guys could probably head out. Sorry, John, but you're stuck with us.
For a while, at least.
AJ, feel free to text me if there's anything that when you come out of closed session that you'd need me for.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you both.
Thank you all.
Hope you get power back soon, Rachel.
Thank you, Brian.
All right,
Guys.
we will see everybody over in closed session.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome back to open session, everyone.
Welcome back.
Not quite, not quite.
That was very NPR of you, Joel.
Yeah.
It was.
It was.
Brent, did you wait this whole time for us?
I've been doing other things too. And I haven't just been sitting in front of the computer.
I don't know. It looks like you're set up right behind you. So
Yeah, I noticed that during a city council meeting one time. I was like, people can see I'm having some fun.
Stephanie, I see naked babies in the background.
Really? You guys. I don't know why they're still up.
I feel that.
They're like, cousin party. You guys, it was so cute in closed session. Maverick's sitting here looking at everyone on the screen like it's Hollywood Squares, and he kept like hitting on like Noelle. He was like, I choose her. And he's like,
Or the block.
Blondes have more fun, Noelle. Blondes
right?
have more fun.
Oh, I was like, that's adorable.
Well, at least I know I appeal to some age.
Babies. You attract the babies.
Oh my goodness.
We got everyone back?
I think so. My screen keeps going out though. I plugged it in.
Oh,
Looks like it. And yep, okay. All right, do we have a motion to return to open session?
Move to return to open session
Second.
at 9:51.
All those in favor? All right, the board will be taking no action as a result of closed session, and we will move into property owner comments again.
Okay, we're back to property owners' comments. So if anybody would like to join the conversation, just use the raise hand feature in Zoom, and I'll bring you over to address everyone.
Everyone went to bed.
no,
I
there's
think
21 participants, so somebody's
good.
out there.
Really? How
I
can
think
you
Yeah, there's eight people, but
They left
I
their
see no hands, so let's go home.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor?
Yay!
All right, have a good
Good
night,
night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, John.
Sure thing.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks,
Good
John.
seeing you.
Have a good night, y'all.